2, 1, action!
Anthropology. Merriam-Webster defines it as the study of human beings and their ancestors through time and space in relation to physical character, environment, and social relations and culture. In other words, it is the study of human beings. What makes them tick? What do they eat? What do they wear? What is their family history? What do they believe as important? Missions. Missions can be defined as a group of people set out to spread their gospel. Christian missions, of course, is to spread the good news of Jesus Christ and to make disciples of all nations, as Jesus commanded us during the Great Commission. Many believe, however, that anthropology and missions cannot coexist. After all, anthropologists study, appreciate, and try to really preserve the culture, while missionaries come with change, sometimes drastic change. Natives are given Western clothes, they are taught Western ways, and left in Western-looking buildings built by short-term missionaries. But really, why should we as missionaries care? As Christians, really? Care that we get along with a bunch of nerds anyways. Anthropologists just spend too much time studying things, kind of like bird watching. Aren't we just supposed to love people and make disciples of all nations, convert the heathen into civilized human beings? First, we need to realize our tendency to mix Christianity with our culture and vice versa. Don't be overly concerned. It's a natural tendency, but that's something that we need to be aware of. Remember that when Christ came to earth, he was a Middle Eastern man, lived in a Middle Eastern culture, and raised up disciples with Middle Eastern tendencies. I challenge you to go back to the gospel and to the instructions given on right living in the Bible. Start there with the bare bones and flash it out with whatever culture you're going to. This will take a lot of practice, a lot of prayer, a lot of patience, and a lot of trying to understand things that aren't going to come easily. It's going to take a lot of time. However, in the end, it's going to be worth it, and it's the right form of action. For instance, when Paul stated in 1 Corinthians 9:19-23, likewise also that women should adorn themselves with respectable apparel, with modesty and self-control, not with braided hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly attire. Did he mean today that we cannot wear braided hair? Consider the historical context. This is what theologians do when they study the Bible. Consider the culture of the time. In Paul's day, in his culture, braided hair was a sign of wealth, so it is a way of showing off. Today, it's not a sign of wealth in America, so we are free to do so. But perhaps we should stay away from other expensive hairstyles and clothing. However, in other cultures, it may still be a sign of wealth, a way to show off one's material possessions. In other words, be willing to think and not have one rule fits all. You can't just go into the country and try to fit in everything that you ever learned. You got to think through the process. Is this work here? However, it's going to take time. One does not have to worship in church building with pews and traditional hymn books in order to follow Christ. It's going to look different depending where you are in the world, as I said. We are to love others, and part of this love is understanding. According to the Bible, men are supposed to live with their wives in an understanding way. And this is a way of showing them love. You'll find out in 1 Peter 3:7. It says, how can we truly love people we do not know? Second, Christianity is all about relationship. It is through a relationship with and seeing the care of the person ministering to them that many come to put their faith in Christ. This relationship business is especially important in other cultures. See what I did there? We need anthropology to know this little bit of information. In 1 Corinthians 9:22-23, Paul says, I have become all things to all people, that by some means I might save some. I do it for the sake of the gospel, that I might share with them in the blessings. Paul, one of the greatest missionaries of all time, and one of the very first missionaries, made an effort to understand the people to whom he ministered and became like them as far as was godly. Should we not do the same? Have fun with it. As a student studying intercultural studies at a Bible college, you're probably planning to go into missions, right? You're leaving family, friends, and everything you know. Why not take it one more step in the adventure and try to really learn everything about the people you are going to serve? Eat their food, try their clothing if they wear clothing, and live among them. An excellent example of this is the story of Fusco in South America. Fusco was a 19-year-old missionary who went down to South America with hardly any knowledge of the outside world. He hardly knew anything about the world outside of his doorstep. But when he went down there willing to learn, he lived among the people, ate their food, and learned their ways. And he used that knowledge to show them, explain to them the gospel, as well as using their traditional stories about how the earth started, things like that, to really show them what God is trying to show them. Even if you don't end up sparking a huge revival, you have earned the people's respect and pleased the maker of all who created this diversity. Are you convinced yet? No? Say you want to plant a church in Africa. We convert the heathen, set up a church service modeled after what we have here back at home, complete with small groups, PowerPoint, hymn books, pianos, organs. When we leave, the whole business collapses because it was completely dependent on outside missionary, on outside financial support, on outside advice. This is something that would easily happen if we make them do church in a Western way. As soon as the missionary leaves, the natives move back to what they know and understand. One more thing. Anthropology is for your sanity. Culture shock is a real thing. Try to assimilate to a place it's so different. It can be absolutely draining, exhausting, and you'll end up with burnout. How can we overcome this besides relying on God's power? By making yourselves one of them as much as possible. A good sign of this is reverse culture shock. If you come back from the missions field and everything looks strange to you, you can't understand the people around you and the way that they're acting, the signs that they're making, and just the whole American culture, this is a good sign that you have worked hard to become understanding of the culture that you went to. As we follow the Pauline model of becoming all things to all men, God will be pleased by our love and effort. The people to whom we go will be more open to the gospel, the anthropologists will stop panicking, and we will find rest in our work. What more could you ask for? Let's do everything we can to bring to Christ every tribe, tongue, and nation to worship at his throne in the last day. What a day that will be. Thanks for listening to this broadcasting of why missions and anthropology is important. See you next time.